I'm doing all right.
Yeah. You're just like the rest of us. You have no life and you have nothing to do on a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Well, we might as well be truthful if nothing else, right?
Yeah, I just got a bunch of homework, that's all.
Oh, do you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, hope I just think one more week and you guys are done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I know some of the students have been talking about having some issues with their GIS course, right? And it kind of relates to the type of work that we do. So I thought that maybe this might be an appropriate time to kind of show you guys what it is we do and how we do it. And hopefully you may find that useful as well, as far as your GIC assignment goes. So let's start working through it. We do this all the time, right? The only difference is that we use our GIS programs that we're using are probably a little different from you guys, right? But the key to it is no matter what GIS program you're using, right, is that you set it up so that all the programs can talk to each other and they all understand the information that they're trying to process, right? All right, so I am going to attempt to try and share my screen. I'm going to attempt to try and share my screen. So can you guys see my Google Earth image?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be jumping between screens. So if I start talking about something you can't see, just let me know, because it just means that the screen didn't it didn't switch, right? So some of you guys might remember this site from the phase one assessment that you did last semester, right? So what typically happens to us in the consulting industry, right, is that we get we get projects, but nobody can give us site plans, right? So we have to go right back to the beginning and actually create a site plan off of whatever information that we can get. And usually the information we can get is a Google Earth image, just like this one of that site at 749 Warden Avenue in Toronto, right? So remember how I was saying, let's see if I can actually find this tab. Remember I was saying that the key is, oh, I'm not going to be able to find this tab, I don't think. I thought I had this all set up. Let me just research this, right? Or I know, Shamama, I got way too many tabs open.
I'm used to it, Stuart. And that's actually pretty little
I
for you.
I know. Right. So like I was saying, you gotta make sure that all of these programs are all talking the same language, right? So if you research Google, right, and you click on it, you will see that Google uses World Geodetics. Can you guys see that? Can you see that screen that says map and tile coordinates?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can see here that Google uses World Geodetic System, so WGS 84, right? So if you set up your AutoCAD drawing and UTM NAD 82, right, the programs are not going to play nice together, right? What you're going to end up with is when you try and bring an AutoCAD drawing into your GIS program, it's going to end up not where it should be. In fact, it can be out by, several hundred meters, in some cases, like several kilometers, because these coordinate systems are not exactly the same, right? So there's the first thing we figured out that World Geodetic System, WGS 84, that's the first piece of information we need, right? So I'm going to go back to Google Earth. So I'm on the Google Earth image, and what I'm going to do is I want to save this image. So what I'm seeing here, I want to save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to go save. image. Now you got to mess around with Google Earth a little bit to get it to do this, right? Because we're going to go in here, we're going to select map options, we're going to get rid of the legend, we're going to keep the scale, and we're going to keep the compass. But when we go to try and save that, it's going to try and save it as a .ge print, right? So we're going to cancel that and just hit save again. And hopefully it will. Right now, see, this time it's popped up as it wants to save it as a JPEG. All right, so I'm going to get away from my, can you guys see my save as box?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to get away from my Kestrels. And where am I going to go in here? I'll go into the placement folder, right? So I am going to save this. I'm going to save this as 749 Warden Avenue, right? All right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to AutoCAD. All right. Does this look like the AutoCAD drawing that you guys, or the AutoCAD program that you guys are using?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, because we have a license for AutoCAD and it updates automatically, right? So sometimes we run into conflicts with different systems. But when you're using AutoCAD, are you guys using the icons up here? Or are you using keyboard commands down here?
Icons.
So
I
if
use
you
a
wanted
mix.
to, so you're using the mix, right? So you know how to use both, right? Okay. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to get that Google Earth image into AutoCAD. Right? All right. So we're going to go insert. Okay. And then we're going to select attach. See how it says attach right there? We're going to select attach. And then the chat out of there. We're going to go to that folder, hopefully, where we saved that image. And there it is right there. Now see how it's showing us the image, right? Okay. So I'm going to put it on the screen, right? So see down at the bottom here, see how it's saying attach, specify insertion point. So we're going to select 0, 0. We're going to put a scale factor of, leave the scale factor at 1. You guys see that scale factor down there? All right. We're just going to select that. Now we have the image in AutoCAD. All right. So we can see the image down here, right? Now, the reason that we want to make sure that we selected to import the scale, right, is we need to be sure at this point in time that that image is actually scaled, right? So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to type DIST, and then I'm going to measure the distance across here, right? So you can see down in the bottom, it says, even though I give it a scale factor of 1, right, it's saying that my 30 meters distance across that scale bar is actually 92.885. Do any of you guys have any idea what we're going to do now? Have you guys ever used the scale function in AutoCAD? Anyone?
Yes, but I was never good at it.
Never good at it? Okay.
Yeah. Would you have to shrink the image?
What's that?
Would you have to shrink the image?
Well, no, you have to scale it, right?
Mhm.
Right. It's important that you use the scale function, right? Okay. So the scale bar on this says that is 30 meters. Yeah, when I measured the distance, AutoCAD told me it was 92.885. Is my scale factor going to be greater than 1 or less than 1? Everyone who starts working for us, they always get this backwards for some reason. So who wants to take a stab at that? Is my scale factor going to be greater than 1 or less than 1? Sounds like I got you guys stumped. So my distance measurement is saying that it's larger than it actually is. So my scale factor has to be less than 1, right? So I'm going to take my trusty calculator, and to get a scale factor of less than 1, I'm going to take 30, which is the distance across that legend, and I'm going to divide it by 92.8885. And it tells me that my scale factor needs to be 0.32296. Right? So down in the bottom, I'm going to type scale. It's going to ask me to select the object I want to scale. I'm going to select it, right? Going to enter. It's going to ask me to select my base point. So where do I want to start that scale? I'm going to pick right at the 0 point. And then it's going to ask me specify your scale factor. So I'm going to put 0.322967. And we want this to be fairly accurate. That's why I'm putting all these digits in. And then I'm going to hit enter. Right. Now, if I go back here and scale this, right, I'm going to go across here. And look at that. All right. That image is now scaled. So I can measure any distance I want on this image, right? If I want to know what the width of that building is there, I just type distance, right? And I pick that corner, and then I pick that corner, and I can tell you the width of that building at that point is essentially 11 meters wide. Does anybody have any questions about that part? Because that can actually be a tricky part, and it seems to throw a lot of people for a loop. How do we scale this image in AutoCAD? Now, I got started and I forgot one of the really important things, right? So we're going to go back here. Before I move ahead, does anybody have any questions about how you scale that drawing? Because if it's not scaled properly, even if you bring it accurately into a GIS system, it could end up like a little tiny postage stamp on top of your actual property, or it could end up being, massive in size, right? So we're all good with how I did that, right? I'm recording this, and I'm going to send you guys a link to the recording, right? Right. But if you have any questions, right? So it sounds like you guys have no questions, and you understand this. So let's go back to that really important thing. When you import this drawing into your GIS system, or what I'm going to import it in today is AirMod, you only want to bring in the components that you want to bring in. So it's important, and I missed this step, but it's important that before you start, you give some thought to what do you want for layers here. So we're going to draw the property line on this property. We're going to draw the building. Any thoughts on how many layers would we might want to have? How many separate layers? I can see you guys are just as wide awake today as I am. All right. What I want to have is I want to, at this point in time, yeah, Isabel's right, 3 to 4, right? But and depending on how complex your drawing gets, right? But I want to have 3 layers on this. So I'm going to open my layer properties, right? All right, and over here, I'm going to add 3 layers. The first layer, I'm going to call Google. Second layer, I'm going to call buildings. And the third layer, I am going to call property line. All right. We try to never put anything on that zero layer because for whatever reason, the zero layer just does not play nice, right? So what we need to do right now is we need to get that drawing off the zero layer. So I'm going to select the drawing. All right. I'm going to go to home and I'm going to move it onto the Google layer. And I can confirm that that's on the Google layer because all I got to do is go and switch it off. All right. So I am on the Google layer. All right. Okay. What I want to do now, and we always do this before we draw the actual site plan. Actually, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw the site plan, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first draw the property line. So I make my property line layer active. I select my polyline. Now there's enough information on this drawing that we can see the property line. See this line coming along here, right? So the property line essentially is going to run from, you know, the edge of that grass. It's going to come straight down through here to this fence, right? And it's going to come up to here. If you look at the hydropole, hydropoles are usually always on municipal property. So it comes across here. Okay, and we're going to bring it to here. And then we're going to close it, right? So we now have a rectangle that represents the property line, right? The one thing that actually, in this case, that hydropole may be on their property because if you look out here, their grass extends right out. So let's take it out to here. Okay, so our property line is essentially, so we've kind of moved it. So this takes just a little bit of messing around to get it right. Okay. So anybody have any problems with that property line? So it look like we've got that property line fairly well outlined. Yes. How about this top left-hand corner? The property, do you think the property line actually goes out onto the road, the own part of the road?
No.
All right. Their property line actually curves at the intersection, right? So we essentially have to curve that section. So I'm going to give it the command belay. All right. It's going to select, so it's going to ask me to select first object, or one of my options is radius. So I'm going to type R for radius. All right. Now it's asking me for what the radius is, what radius do I want that to be. This gets really tricky because what we need to do is we need to get the radius of a circle that would follow that curve. So it just becomes trial and error. Let's put a radius of 5, right? And then we'll fillet this corner. Boy, we got pretty darn close, didn't we? Let's undo that and we'll go with the radius. We'll go fillet again. All right. We're going to go radius and we're going to go 7. All right. And then we're going to select this. What do you think? Did we get it? I think we pretty well got it. All right. Now there is a standard convention for property lines. A property line is always a long dash and a dot followed by a long dash, right? So we're going to go, we've got the property line layer active, right? We're going to select, oh, that's my line thickness, right? We're going to select a line. So we have to load lines, right? I only have one line loaded, right? And that's a continuous line. So I'm going to go load. Why didn't that load? Uh-oh, this might not be good. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what why it did that, right? But now it's giving me the ISO long dash dot line option. I'm gonna select that. I'm going to go, okay. and okay. All right, so if I check the layer for that property line, hope none of you guys are asleep yet. I don't know why my computer's being so slow today, right? But here's the property line layer, and it's still set at continuous. Right, so we want to change that to the one we loaded, and okay. All right, now our property line. So tell me what you think of this. What do you think of my property lines? Does that look good?
Yes.
It does. We should only have on this side, there's no dash and dot. On this side, there's only one. There's none over here.
So you need smaller gaps, more
Right,
gaps
so
and smaller.
yeah, so what we need to do is we need to scale this line down. So what we can do is just select it. We can right click and go properties. Our line type properties pick up over here. Our line type scale is 1. So let's go 0.25 and see what that does for us.
Yeah.
That looks a bit better, right?
Mhm.
You got to keep in mind. So we are not professional AutoCAD people. I know a professional AutoCAD person would look at that and he would say, he would be able to tell you right away what that line type scale needs to be, right? So we do a lot of things by trial and error. So let's just go 0.1 and see what happens. All right. So now we've got a property line that looks like a standard property line on any engineering drawing. All right. Okay. So let's bring that Google image back on. All right. So now we want to get the building on this property. All right. So we're going to go to our building layer, and we're actually going to turn that layer on so we can at least see it. All right. And we are going to use a polyline again. All right. And we're going, you can see that this building is two separate parts, right? So we're going to essentially do this part. All right, comes over to here. Goes there. And then I'm going to go close, right? So if I turn my Google and my property line off, there's the first part of the building. All right. So now we're going to draw the second line, or the second building, and we want to use a different polyline so that they both get imported as separate shape files when you go to import them, right? So we're going to snap to this line here, this corner, and we're going to come up, we're going to snap to that corner, and then that building comes out to there. Okay, and it goes to here, to here, to here, and then I'm going to close it, right? So if I select that building there, it's only going to select that one, right? So if I, if I had an issue with that and I wanted to delete it, I could just hit delete. It's gone, but the other one is still there, right? So now we have a site plan that has a property line and a building on it. In fact, it has 2 buildings, right? We would spend some time cleaning this drawing up a little bit, right? Because you can see the building is not completely at right angles. The building is not completely at right angles, right? And usually when surveyors are setting these things up, they always set things up so that everything is at a right angle. So we just go back in and we do a little bit of hocus pocus to, try and get this to look more like it would on a survey drawing, right? All right. So that looks a bit better. I mean, the buildings are now kind of lying at right angles to the property line. Okay. Now, so what do we want to do now? So we just go ahead and import this into our GIS program.
If only it was that easy.
If only, actually, you're going to kick yourself when you see how easy it is. Where could we find out where this building is in the real world? How could we do that? Telling you, you guys are going to kick yourself when you see how easy this is. You're going to go to Google Earth and you're going to pick something on this building. What do you want to pick? You want to pick, let's pick this corner of the building. We're going to take a pin and we're going to drop that pin and we're going to zoom in because we want this pin to be accurate. So that pin is right on the corner of the building. What do I know about that pin? It's just told me, Google has just told me. Can you guys access Google, like the actual Google Earth program?
Yes.
Yes, it's free to download.
Yeah, okay. So you need to make sure you have it. What I can tell you right now is that pin is sitting in the real world in zone 17 at 638,324.83 meters east and at a big long number north. That kind of sounds like a coordinate system that maybe AutoCAD could use, right? All right. So if I go in here, go back to my AutoCAD for just a second. All right. All right. I want to make sure that when I move this drawing, absolutely everything moves with it. So all my layers, even that zero layer, we turn on. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the command move. I am really old school. When I started on this, we were working on AutoCAD 12, and there was no option other than to, use your keyboard. There was no icons, right? But I'm going to go move, right? It's going to ask me to select the objects I want to move. I'm going to make sure that absolutely everything in that drawing is selected, and we can see it is because we've got, all the blue lines, right? Now it's asking me, so I've selected my objects. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask me, what is your base point? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my snaps back on because I turned them off a second ago. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to snap on this corner right there. Because I know from Google Earth what the coordinates of that corner of the building is. Right? Now see what it's saying here? Specify your second point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Google Earth. I'm not going to take the meters east part. I'm just going to take the digits. I'm going to go back. You guys, my screen's changing so you guys can see this, right? And then I'm going to put that first one, I'm going to paste it in here. Then I'm going to put a comma, no gap. If you put a gap, if you hit your space bar right now, that drawing's going to go way off into, God knows where. You're going to go back to Google Earth. You're going to grab that second coordinate. We're going to go copy. We're going to go back to our AutoCAD drawing. And that, say no gap. We're going to paste and we're going to hit enter. Were we successful? What do you think? How did we do? What happened to our drawing?
It went to the coordinates.
That's sitting in the real world coordinates, right? How are we going to find it? We could select line and give the coordinates of the first point of that line the same coordinates, right? Right? The easy way that we find, the easiest way to do that is we go zoom. So we have a whole bunch of options, all center, dynamics, extends, previous scale, window. We select A for all, right? See up here, we have that little tiny pixel shining brightly up there. What do you think that is? That little tiny pixel is our site, right? So see our little pixel there? So now we can just zoom right into our pixel. Oh, missed it. All right. Now, if I ask AutoCAD to tell me what the point is of that corner, I go ID, and then I go, it's asking me to specify the point I want it to ID. I zoom in there, it's going to snap right there. And look at that. The coordinates of that point now exactly match GIS. All right. So now you can take this, you can import this drawing into any GIS program, and it should end up in the correct location. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this drawing. All right. We're going to save it. And we'll just put it back in here again, and we're just going to call it 749 Warden. All right. Then. So now we have an AutoCAD drawing saved as 749 Warden. But I can guarantee you that the vast majority of GIS programs is not going to speak with a .dwg drawing, right? So what we have to do, and this actually gets a bit tricky, right, is we're going to go to save as, and what we're going to do is we're going to select an option that we think our GIS program is going to be able to talk to. And what I am going to do is I'm going to select an early version. I'm going to select AutoCAD 2000, and I'm going to go save. All right. So if I go to that folder, what we should see is we should see an AutoCAD drawing, right? A DWG file, but we should always also see this DXF file. All right. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to see if a GIS program will speak nicely with the file that we just created. All right. So I'm going to go to AirMod. All right. And I'm going to set up a new project. It's going to ask me some questions. Hopefully, eventually it'll ask me some questions. I have no idea why my computer's so slow this morning.
It's also asleep.
Yeah, it's also asleep because it's too early on a Saturday morning. AirMod can be a little, finicky program, right? So I'm just going to give this a couple more minutes of, oh, there we go. Okay. So it's going to ask me to give this project a name. I'm going to call it Warden. Okay. Right. Where do I want that to save this to, right? Is this where this can get a bit tricky because I want it to save somewhere where I know it's going to find it. So I'll put it on my desktop, and we're going to call it Warden. All right. Okay. So we're going to say next. Now, see the next thing that this thing has asked us? It said to us, okay, what coordinates are you using? All right. So I'm going to go on here and I'm going to say, and why is it not giving me? Yeah, here we go. WGS 1984. So you got this option for all these coordinate systems, right? You got to make sure that you select WGS. I'm going to tell it that we're in zone 17, and I'm going to tell it we're in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's going to go next, right? What, maybe not all GIS programs will ask you this, but this one wants you to tell it where is the center of your project. So we're just going to go back to Google Earth, and we're going to copy the coordinates because I'm too lazy to do it any other way. We're going to paste that there, and my Y coordinate is there. All right. And it's going to go paste. I have a button here that says, okay, check your coordinates. If I've done this right, it should show me a 5-kilometer block. So it says reference point. It's telling me that my reference point is at the same location as my corner because it makes sense, right? I use that corner to move my AutoCAD file. And I also use those coordinates in AirMod, right? All right, so lost my AirMod. Where did my AirMod go? Where the heck did it go? Oh, there it is. I am really tired this morning. Okay, so we want to cancel this. All right. We're going to go back to air mode view, and we're going to say, okay, we're finished. Okay. And again, it's going to take a bit of time to think about it. Okay, so now it's going to open that project with that area of coverage in it. All right. Okay, and I've got a nice blank screen. See the coordinate bar along the top? See how it falls right within that range of where our building should be. In fact, our building should end up right in the center. So what you need to do at this point in time, and I don't know what GIS system you guys are using, is now you have to import the portions of your drawing that you want to import. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go import, and all I'm going to import is my buildings from a DXF file. Okay, I'm going to go to, and I'm going to find the DXF file because this program just cannot talk to any other file that AutoCAD can make. All right, so where the heck did that go? Okay, see it right there, DXF. I'm going to select it, and here's hoping that we selected one that AirMod can talk to. Okay, so see how it's asking me to specify which layers, right? I don't want my property line. All I want is my buildings. See how it's in the corner here, or not in the corner, in the center box. It's showing you what it has interpreted the AutoCAD drawing to be, right? Okay, so I'll update my preview. Now all I have is my buildings. If we were going to do this and run a dispersion model, we would also import a property line, but I just want to show you guys how to import this. I'm going to import, okay? This particular program asks me to tell it how high is the building elevations. Okay, so I'm just going to say that one's 5. I think I said the other one was 7. And I'm going to go close. Now, if I did this right, I can verify that I've done this right because I can work backwards and I can check it in Google Earth, right? So if I've done this right, I'm going to ask this program to export that building to Google Earth, and it should land right on top of the building that I'm dealing with. So I'm going to go 3D view, going to go to Google Earth. I don't want the site domain. I want it to export the buildings to Google Earth. It's going to go export. Let's keep our fingers crossed. All right. So as you can see, we didn't do a great job, right? But we did a half decent job. We would have, what we would do at this point in time is it looks like there's some issues maybe with the scale from that came in with the Google Earth image. So I would go distance. We would just check the length of this building, right? 41.5. We would go back to Google Earth and we would get that building off there out of our way for now. We would measure the distance of that building. All right. I know, I think I may know what I did wrong, but let's redo that. This says that this building is 49 meters, 49.7. And our AutoCAD drawing says that it is that it is 41, right? And we can kind of see that when we go on to Google Earth, if we bring that building back on, right? Right. Right. We can kind of see that, right? We can see that this building is sharp. So at that point, at this point in time, we would go in and we would rescale. Does anybody care how we would rescale? Like, do you want to see me rescale this? Or do you guys now have a really good understanding of how you do this?
If you want, you can show us how to rescale.
Okay, all right. So we have a couple of issues because the rotation of the building is off as well, right? So let's go back to AutoCAD. Right. And we can see that. So in this case, we need our drawing to go bigger. So scale factor is going to be more than 1, right? So we're going to take what Google Earth tells us it actually is, right? It says, what did it say it was? Shouldn't have closed that. All right. So that's essentially saying it's, let's say 50 meters, right? So it's 50 divided by our AutoCAD scale factor of 41.5431. So we need a scale factor of 1.2, right? You have, at this point in time, you have to make sure that all your layers are on, because if you leave a layer off, switched off, it's not going to scale, right? So scale, right? I'm going to select everything. All right, I'm going to select this corner again. All right, and we're going to use the scale factor of 1.2035693. Okay, all right, so this should now be about 50 meters. Yep, so 50 meters, right? So I'm going to save just to make sure it's still being saved as a DXF. Still a DXF. I'm going to save it again. All right, I'm going to go to my AutoCAD. I'm going to delete all those buildings because it didn't turn out so well for us. All right. So deleted all my buildings. I'll go back here. I'll import my buildings again from DXF. And again, I'm going to just pick buildings. And I'll set these tier heights again. Some GIS systems don't care what the height of the building is, because this is an air mod or an air dispersion modeling one. It cares what the building height is, right? So let's go back and we will. I want to. All right, so I have deleted all my old air mods, and let's just see how this one worked out for us. All right, so you can see we now have the scale of the building essentially right. That for whatever reason, there's a bit of a rotation issue with the building and Google Earth, the building that we have in AutoCAD, and the what is in reality in Google Earth. And we sometimes find that when we save JPEG images from Google Earth, we get a bit of distortion, right? But we just make the adjustments we need, right? So in our case, when the Ministry of the Environment Review Engineer gets this file, he clicks export to Google Earth, our building will fall right on top of this building at 749 Warden Avenue. So what do you think, guys? Was that helpful or not?
Yes, very helpful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
should have been the one to use AutoCAD.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I wouldn't go that far, right? If I was an AutoCAD expert, that building would be sitting exactly where it should be right now, right? But I don't know what GIS system you're using, but just keep in mind, you may have to go back to your AutoCAD drawing. Here's what I'm going to do, right? What we would do at this point in time is, because we know we have a rotation issue, right? So I want this to rotate down by a couple of degrees, right? So I'm going to go rotate. And again, I'm going to select everything so that everything rotates. I'm going to go, so make sure that that's my base point on the corner. How do I want this to rotate? I don't know. This might be a negative angle, but let's go negative 4 degrees. No, we went the wrong way. So we're going to undo that. Okay, we're going to go rotate. Didn't undo. Okay, so we just undid the rotation. So we're going to go. See, I always reach for my keyboard because I'm old school, right? All right, I'm going to select all my objects. I'm going to snap there. I'm going to rotate that by 4 degrees. See how the building shifted now? It now shifted in that direction that we needed for it to go into. So since we've wasted an hour of your valuable Saturday morning, let's just try and see if our building is any better. All right, so I'm going to save this one. All right, I'm going to go back to ArcGIS program. I'm going to delete my buildings because we know they're not perfect. Okay, they're gone. I am now going to import buildings again. Select that file. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the property line. Get my preview, going to import it. And set those heights to 7 meters. Is this anything like how you guys would have to do it in your GIS program to import something? Like, is there any resemblance at all?
We haven't even gotten to this part. A lot of us were struggling on importing, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you're going to have an import function. Just make sure your GIS model and your AutoCAD drawing are set for the same coordinates, right? So you're going to, if you're going to create a drawing, you're probably going to create it from Google Earth. You know that it's WSG 84. So when you go to import into GIS, when you go to import in GIS, it's going to ask you what your coordinate system is. Just make sure they are the same. Did I import those buildings? I did. Okay. Shoot. We're actually done there. So let's export this. But your GIS system will either bring it in right away over an aerial image, or it will ask you to export it to Google Earth. So just make sure that whatever it is that you've created in AutoCAD overlays nicely what is in your GIS system, okay? My AirMod is really asleep this morning. It seemed like it did that, did I? I know what's going on. It's got this. Look at that. What do you guys think? You would actually think I knew what I was doing. But you can see, man, it took a little bit of work, right? Because like I say, I'm certainly not an AutoCAD pro, right? Because an AutoCAD pro would have got this right the first time, right? Be cautious with your scale bars on your JPEGs, right? Because sometimes they save and they're a little distorted. So, but it gives you a good starting point, right? All right. All right. Okay. So just so you can see, because I like to play with this, right? I need to get you guys out of my way, but I can actually now. I've got to close this. Close that. Oh, like my little mango. Here we go. I can actually bring this little man down, plunk him there. And I can see my 3D building, right? And Google Earth. See, they have a bit of a stack here. If I was doing an environmental compliance approval, I would also have a layer that would be called stacks, and I would make sure that I import that layer as well. Okay. So I'm hoping that you guys found this helpful. I really hope you found it
Definitely
helpful.
was.
Hey?
It definitely was.
Yeah, I'm giving up my time with my kestrels to show you guys how to do this, right? And Shamama, I'm really glad that you joined us too, right? Because I didn't want this just to be for like placement students, and that goes for Isabel as well, because you're not a placement student, right? But I kind of thought there would be value in this for you guys to see this as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's like this is so much more clear. Like you made this so much more clear than like the entire semester that I did AutoCAD. So
yeah,
it was really
well,
good.
for those of you now, keep in mind, this had nothing to do with your GIS assignment. This just happened to be coincidentally what we do on a regular basis. So I just brought it forward because I thought it may help you guys with your GIS assignment. Okay, I have recorded this, right? Right. So it'll take about an hour or so for it to process, and then I'll send you guys a link to it on YouTube, okay? So you can go and you can follow the steps again, okay?
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Anybody have any
Thank you
questions?
so much, Stewart.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any,
Thanks, Stuart.
yeah, no questions, eh?
Thank you so much.
All right, no problem, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Okay?
Enjoy your kestrels.
Oh, I will. Okay, see you guys.
See ya.